I am here to interview thee to this. Thank you to have us here.
It's an honor. You're very
So
welcome.
tell us about your wrestling career. Your
Um,
wrestling. How did you start your wrestling?
how I started wrestling? Well, it all became, first of all, like most pro wrestlers or any wrestler out there in the world. It all starts by, first of all, becoming a fan of wrestling. So I became a fan of wrestling more or less around the age of 10 or 11. Um, Started with World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, of course, the most popular wrestling out there. Um, and immediately as I first saw the first program, I got hooked on it. I fell in love with the sport. Um, so me and my brother Dennis Cage and our cousins, we would wrestle just on the ground, in parks, playgrounds, just at our own backyards, just there in the grass, in the dirt with all the rocks. Um, at parties, we would also make like a little show, acting as we were WWE superstars ourselves, you know, mocking the wrestlers, not out of disrespect, but out of honor and respect. I would come out pretending to be guys like Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Chris Jericho. Um, it started like that, and then eventually, um, Dennis Cage, he got a trampoline, and we just started wrestling to that thing. We started doing the moves. You know, we got we got it like that. It's something we always wanted to do, something we always did for ourselves, and we love it. We love it. It's very fun to do. You know, whether it's in a ring like we do now in training, or whether it's in a trampoline, it's still entertainment, and it's still for the love of the sport. We do it because we want to. No one's paying us to wrestle in a backyard. We do this because we choose to do it. Alright? So we started wrestling a trampoline, just messing around, you know, little slams and stuff like that. Then we started learning bigger moves and stuff. And then more people joined in,
Yeah.
APJ got involved. We started, just wrestling,
Yeah. The basic thing.
the basics. And we started wrestling with each other just for fun. And then there was a part of our lives where APJ, he got a camera, right? And we had this idea to make a show, you know. So he basically bought the camera just so we could record our backyard wrestling shows.
Yeah.
That started in 2005 in November, and we started wrestling unscripted. And a matter of fact, it just go out there, do what you love to do, just do anything, entertain us. Really didn't have fans. There's no fans really, but there was a couple of kids from the neighborhood who would look across the fence, cheering us on like if we were stars, and it felt good. The energy was great. You know, we had fun doing it. It was awesome. Um, yeah. One favorite moment of the early days of CEW Championship Extreme Wrestling,
So
the
that's
promotion we call it backyard
so
wrestling.
that's CW. That's what it
Yeah,
stands
that's
for.
CEW. You could see it on YouTube, but back in the day, it was on VHS. We can't really put those videos online or anywhere else. They're just on tape. So really, no one on YouTube or any other site have actually seen that match. But they have better moments in the early days of CEW than we did at the last months of CEW in last year. Um, Back then, it was totally more realistic than the last couple of months. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that it was 100% real, but it was more real back then than it is now, because it wasn't scripted, it wasn't pre-planned. It was just go out there, do anything you want to do, and just roll along with it.
Wait, I'm sorry. What year did it start it?
CEW. Well, we really started wrestling in 2004, but since we didn't have a camera, you can actually say it started in 2005.
Oh, okay.
We wrestled myself, APJ, Dennis Cage, Rob Styles. You know, he had some confrontation. For some reason, he wouldn't be coming to every show. I guess he had his own personal reasons for that. But, you know, we allowed him to wrestle whenever he did choose to. We had other popular characters like Red Demon, Scream, who were like the mid-carders, the mid-card show part of the show
Back then.
back then. So yeah, that's how it really all started in CEW. And my favorite moment, like I was about to say a few minutes ago, my favorite moment in the early days of CEW was, I gotta say it, my favorite moment was between Dennis Cage and APJ.
What
the
match?
the injury that was sustained on APJ on the back of this part of his head, blood, that was totally not planned. That took place June 27, I believe, 2006. There's a clip on YouTube for that part. It's not really the whole thing. You can't really check it out right. This is not the real actual tape. But yeah, that moment, the reason I like it, because it's totally real. It's the most honest thing you're ever going to see in wrestling, whether it's pro or backyard. Because it wasn't planned. It was totally not, fake. It was 100% real. That day, I remember APJ came to the area and he asked Dennis Cage for a match. We weren't planning to doing a show that day for backyard wrestling. It just APJ came around the house, asked Dennis Cage for a match for the championship, and why not? Dennis Cage accepted it. We decided to film it, for memories and to show off. If in case it turned out to be a great match, why not record it?
Yeah.
So we taped it, and no one expected that to happen. Let's be honest. It's wrestling, whether it's pro or backyard, accidents are gonna happen.
Yeah.
APJ did not seem upset about it after, we went off the air, so to speak. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, Dennis Cage swung the chair too many times at APJ skull. He caused him to bleed, and then he ran out of the ring, and he was rushed to the hospital via car. And Dennis Cage was cutting his little promo, And then after the promo, we stopped filming and whatever. We waited around for APJ to come to the house. He came back. We expected him to kind of be in an awful mood, bad mood. We expected him to be kind of mad at Dennis Cage for those actions. But he was very cool about it. He was more worried about us getting it on camera than his injury. He was like, "Oh, did you get that on film? Did you get that on camera? Can you really see the blood?" You really in the tape, if you review it, if you see it, you can't really see the blood, because the angle of the camera wasn't a good capture. But if you see that moment of the chair being swung into his head many times, you can tell. You can ask anybody who was in that building that day that it was real. You can see it as you see the video. It's noticeable. I was holding the camera to tape that, and you can notice that I shaked a little when the first swing went by. So yeah, that's my favorite moment. I wouldn't say it's my favorite match of all time in CW, but it's without doubt the greatest moment in CW history. It's still remembered these days. We go to Buffalo Wings to see a WWE pay-per-view, Dennis Cage and myself and a bunch of other friends, and we run into APJ. We're not really that close as we used to because there's a little issue within the family, and he still remembers that. We still talk about it and we still laugh about it, and it's an awesome moment that will stick with all of us for the rest of our lives. I know this is not a question, but I'm gonna assume people want to know my favorite match of
Yeah.
WWE.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite match? Yeah.
My favorite match is CW. Well, it's not gonna be anything you could probably find on YouTube because,
Like you said, like not
like
everything.
I said, not everything it's on YouTube because besides it being on VHS, some of the things weren't not able to be placed on YouTube because there were technical difficulties. We were filming a match between Red Demon and Dennis Cage, and after the match, we noticed that the camera didn't actually record it at all. It wasn't there. It wasn't in the memory card. It wasn't to be found. It was lost. We weren't able to air it on. Back then, we would air it on both MySpace, who was popular at the time, and YouTube. So we weren't able to air it for the fans, but it was a great match. But that's not my favorite. I'm just letting you know.
But
a little example. Of
at least
some
you're paying your
matches,
dues and
some
shit.
of the matches that are lost. So, we got the matches, we tape them, we put them on the laptop, and one time the laptop, its memory got wiped, so we lost a lot of great matches that we could not be replaced.
Yeah.
We only saved it there, and the computer got wiped out, and it's too bad. It sucks that some of the greatest matches won't be able to see again. But to answer the question, my favorite match, it's not one that's up to date. It's one from the VHS because back then we would wrestle a lot harder, a lot more passionate. Back then it wasn't based on that much of an entertainment. The new era of CW is more about entertainment, more about being fun, and back then it was a little bit more serious than it is now. So I'm gonna say that if I had to pick a match, it's gonna be from the early days, the original days of CW, back in the Sete Nuevo neighborhood in the Colonia. Right there, it was better. My favorite match that I performed in was against Dennis Cage in the chair match.
Yeah.
I still like seeing that match. It's a long match, but it was a great match. I love that match. It was a chair match. It's not applying to the same rules of a WWE chair match. This match, you must hit them a few times with a chair before you're eligible to get a pinfall submission. I ended up winning that match, APJ costing Dennis Cage the match, but aside from that, the whole match before the interference, the whole match from start to finish, it was great. It was something that I am proud to be a part of.